What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NumberBet matchup podcast for betting, where we go through the SuperContest lines every week and give our ideas and thoughts and strategies regarding the contest and how we'd approach it. And with my buddy Milo, and we do this every week. Milo, how are you doing this week?
Doing pretty good. I'm a little bit disappointed in last week. I think I should have done better than I did. I'm not going to blame San Francisco for some of the things they had. A lot of sharp people were on San Francisco, so I don't know. I never feel bad if I'm on the sharp side and things don't work out. If I'm on the public side and they don't work out, I'm like, I should have seen that coming. That was really on me. So no complaints. Overall, good week and ready to fire it back up this week.
Yeah, this is, I don't know, a little past the midway point, I guess. So we're starting to get to the point where you definitely are going to have people that need to play catch up. And as you are trying to do that, the strategy I recommend is to be contrarian where you can. So being aware of the public side, the sharp side, and whether a pick is being made because of the projected line value or if there's just not a good reason to it, like that's where you can start to identify good spots to be contrarian. But let's get into it. Let's talk about the first game. We've got the Seahawks and the Cardinals. That's the Thursday night game. And the Seahawks are at home. They've got Lockett that hasn't been practicing in full, and there's questions about whether he's going to go. But this matchup should be a pretty fun one to watch overall.
I mean, it definitely should be. It's a fantastic DFS game, right, for the showdown slate. I'm really looking forward to that. In this spot, though, it's really weird because it seems like the Seattle was such a public team, but now I think Arizona has become a public team. I mean, everybody saw the Hail Mary last week, obviously, and people have been on Arizona a little bit more. And this line originally, I think I mentioned our Slack channel, was going to open at like Seattle -5.5 about a week ago. And then, you know, obviously things happening for both teams kind of altered that with Seattle losing, Arizona winning. And all of a sudden we're down to pretty much roughly 3, depending upon where you're looking in situations. And man, it feels like such a great spot to be on Seattle, if I'm being completely honest. I think Arizona's a better team. I think Arizona collectively kind of has everything going for them, but this is a must spot for Seattle. Short week at home. And my model thinks that this game should only be about a 1.5 spread. So it's got to lean towards Arizona, but I'm leaning towards Seattle.
Yeah, the line is 3 in favor of Seattle. I have it the same at 3. But if I'm just not even looking at the lines and stuff, I'm with you and thinking, man, this seems like a good time to bet Seattle. Lockett doesn't mean that much to me either, so that wouldn't change if Lockett were ruled out. The last game was one of the only games, the only game we've seen the Seattle total be under 50, but it was at 49, so it's still really high. Should be a shootout. You'd think that. Arizona, decent defense, but high-powered offense going up against bad defense. Seattle's pass defense is pretty bad, so I do think there are going to be a lot of points, and I think Seattle is the better team here. So that would be my lean. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, I agree with you.
All right, let's go to the Browns and the Eagles. Browns are at home, favored by 3.5 here. The half point makes this one a little bit harder, maybe. What do you think about this?
So I mentioned this to you before we started. I found my way to Cleveland -3 as one of my contest picks by Sunday morning. I thought it was a really good spot for them. I think I said this last week. Cleveland just beats bad teams, and anytime they play good teams, they just seem to struggle. The 3.5 here really freaks me out. I can't give more than 3 with Cleveland in any situation. I understand how Philly looks. I understand it looks dreadful. And I think you'd probably make a lot of money if you just went against every NFC East team when they played out of conference. But I can't do it with Cleveland. My model has it set exactly 3.5, so I have no lean, no situation. If I was forced to play it, I'd be on the Eagles, but I'm staying away from this one.
Cleveland hasn't covered in 4 straight games now, so it's been pretty ugly for them. But this is a game that, I'm going to stay away from, I think. I would lean towards wanting to bet Cleveland, but there's no value in it for me here. I have, again, the same line as the Super Contest, and Vegas also, like, it hasn't changed there either. So this is going to be a pass for me. That's one we can move past quickly. Let's go to one that's more interesting though. Potentially, depending on what you think of Jameis Winston. We've got the Saints and the Falcons. Saints at home. They're favored by 4.5 points, and it's expected that Winston is going to be the starter. I don't think that they've said yet. There's I guess an outside chance that Taysom Hill could be the starter, but even if not, Taysom Hill is probably going to be more involved than usual, so that creates some interesting ripples, I guess, in projecting this. But what do you think of this game and Drew Brees being out, and how much that should affect the line?
I mean, number one, if they name Taysom Hill the starter, he's 4.5K on FanDuel, and he's listed as a tight end, which is a significant issue, and the whole world's going to be on him. It's just going to be the weirdest week that I could possibly remember in daily fantasy. I mean, Brees is obviously worth a few points at this line. I adjusted this for assuming Jameis Winston, and it still came out that my model feels that the Saints should be an 8-point favorite despite everything. And that's a no for me. I liked Atlanta before Brees got hurt, coming off a bye, well-rested, two rivals. They always seem to play each other tight. And I still like Atlanta. I don't care what my model says. I don't care what the situation is. I like Atlanta in this spot. Give me the 4.5, and I am on the Falcons here. I know it kind of flies in the conventional wisdom of everything you're thinking, but, the New Orleans offense is – how can I put this? They're not exactly the most solid offense out there in terms of big plays and explosiveness. Everything they do is predicated on short passes, controlled, everything underneath, and now they're going to turn it over to someone who doesn't throw passes like that. This seems like it's kind of a conflict. I always think that teams want to have a backup quarterback that's similar to their starters and have to change a whole lot if they're going to make a move. But now you have a guy that wants to chuck it and throw it deep down the field, kind of wing it. Michael Thomas is not that, or at least hasn't really been that. And Alvin Kamara certainly has not been that. So, like I said, I'm going to be on Atlanta at this spot. It might be weird. It might not make any sense, but it's kind of where I'm leaning.
You're crazy, man. Yeah, well, the big thing I'll kind of push back on here is the explosiveness of this offense. The reason they don't throw it deep is because they have Drew Brees at quarterback. It's not the other way around. It's not they have Drew Brees at quarterback because they want to throw short. Like that's not the way it goes. Like they with Winston, they will be chucking it deep. Manuel Sanders will be getting deep targets for the first time all year, probably. Traquan, although Traquan got hurt, right? Jared Cook is another guy that is more of a deep threat than you would think. And Michael Thomas, sure, he's known as Mr. The slant guy, but I'm sure that his ADOT's going to go up here. The other thing is, too, where, you look at these offenses where it's a lot of short passes, low ADOTs overall, that sort of thing, which is exactly what Drew Brees is. You usually have a running back that is a really good pass catcher, and that's bringing down the yards per pass attempt and everything down because they're getting a lot of screens and everything. That doesn't take away from the explosiveness of the offense, though, in my opinion. That's just you've got a weapon that is going to affect those numbers, but not in a deceptive way. It's not in a negative way, I don't think. So I'm with you with everything you said up to the point of you disagreeing with your model, because my model has it the same, where it's like, it thinks the Saints should not be discounted a ton here. They shouldn't be downgraded a ton, and that this line should be pretty similar to what it would have been if Brees were in there. I think I have it like a point difference or something, 1.5, and there's about 3-4 points of value in this line, in my opinion, and would be my biggest bet of the week.
Well, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree for obvious reasons. And I don't feel that strongly about it where it's like, oh, I'm just locking in Atlanta. It seems like a really good spot coming off a bye and kind of everything settling down for the Falcons. And maybe that offense is finally healthy for the first time in I don't know how long. And Todd Gurley getting some rest, I think, is positive, but it's really, I think what you're doing is almost more of a bet on the Saints defense and against Atlanta's defense more than anything, which I get completely. I just feel like this ends up being a 3-point game, and I don't know if I trust Jameis. Now, I have to stream him in a league because I had Dak, and I've been just playing quarterback roulette every week. So, I'm kind of going to be with you. But like I said, I just kind of lean towards Atlanta. It just feels like a good spot. But, we'll find out come Sunday.
I mean, I do like the Saints defense, but I think our biggest disagreement is that the Saints don't have like the weapons. I just think they have some of the best weapons.
I'm not saying they don't have weapons. I'm just saying they're just not as explosive. They feel like everything has to go right for them to kind of move the ball down the field, or at least that's the perception I have whenever I watch them. And maybe just the big plays have been missing, or it's the Michael Thomas hasn't been there, just kind of hasn't quite been the same. But I mean, outside of until they went into Tampa a couple weeks ago, I was ready to just write off the Saints as like a 3 or 4 seed that's going to get beat in the first or second round. And, maybe they're just a team I have wrong, which is entirely possible.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about watching them every week and that's what it looked like, I just am saying that's because the quarterback is Drew Brees every other week. And now that it's not Drew Brees, I think you're going to see a very different offense. But we can move on. Let's talk about the Panthers and the Lions, see if we agree on this one. Panthers are favored by 2.5 points here. At home, McCaffrey isn't going to play. Doesn't affect things too much for me, although we've seen pretty disappointing Mike Davis over the last month now. Got hurt again in the middle of the last game, ended up coming back. I think he dislocated a finger or something like that, so nothing super serious. But what do you think of this Panthers offense with the struggling running backs?
Well, in Bridgewater, we know is a little bit dinged up, but is going to play and seems to be perfectly fine. I do not like this game at all. I mean, I have the line at 1.5, so there's, I guess, a slight lean towards Detroit, but I don't feel confident in either team. I mean, Detroit on the road, Carolina at home, I think both these teams are kind of in the middle of the pack, and I really don't have a good read on either of them at this point due to injury for Carolina. And for Detroit, I mean, Galladay is supposed to come back, but this is not a situation that I feel entirely comfortable with. And when I don't feel comfortable and don't have a good read, I'm just going to pass on it. So I would definitely be passing on this game.
I don't have a super strong feeling about this one either. I have the line at 2.1, mine's 2.5, so whatever. I mean, less than half a point. And that's, of course, within the margin of error. It's not something you're going to bet on. I think that if I had to choose a side, it would probably be Detroit, but no conviction in that at all. This is not going to be a game that I would be betting. Let's move on to the next game. We've got the Patriots and the Texans, a 1.5 point spread where the Patriots are road favorites. Patriots have mostly looked bad, but have shown signs. So what do we think about the Patriots this week?
I remain fearful of Bill Belichick and the Patriots in all situations. I mean, Houston's bad. Houston is very, very bad. Obviously, the weather last week was an issue. My model has us at New England minus 0.5 points. So, I mean, kind of a lean towards Houston, but not really. There is no way in the world I'm playing Houston in this game. I don't know what could possibly happen that would make me want to bet the Texans. Maybe Cam got hurt and has COVID again, isn't going to play. There is no way I would play Houston in this game. It feels almost too easy. It feels like they're begging you to take New England and giving less than 3 in Houston. That's where I'm kind of concerned. And I just can't do it in any way, shape, or form with this game either. It's a game I'm happy to just punt away and not have to worry about.
I mean, we saw what Belichick and the Patriots can do when you count them out, and they ended up doing well against Baltimore, right? They won straight up against Baltimore. I didn't see that coming. The Texans are interesting because since the coaching change, they've looked a lot better. But like their schedule, it's like they've beat Jacksonville twice, and aside from that, they've lost to Green Bay, they lost to Tennessee, which are like good teams. Tennessee, I think, expected to be a playoff team, right? And that, like you said, that Cleveland game, which is a 7-10 game, which was bad weather. I don't know that I'm convinced that Houston's definitely a bad team. They probably are, but I still think I've got to see more. I haven't learned anything over the last month plus of them playing games, considering they're beating bad teams and they're losing to good teams. And then there's that one weird weather game mixed in where 7-10, I mean, whatever. So yeah, I don't know exactly how to value them, but I think the more likely thing is that the public is probably too confident that they're bad. I don't know if that makes sense, but again, another game that I'm not necessarily going to be betting. You like the fact that the Texans are at home. I don't know where you have this in your model or anything, but I've landed pretty close to around 2 points for home field advantage. Do you have an opinion at this point through the year?
I've lowered it a little bit more to the point where it's basically one. And I just think we've seen unprecedented amounts of road teams performing well in spots that they just never would have. And I said it a couple weeks ago. There are spots where there is no way I would have played some of these road teams or some of these road favorites in situations. It's a normal year, full crowd, full situation, and we're just not there. So, you adjusted, I adjusted, and I guarantee you Vegas has adjusted. The lines have become much, much sharper the past 2 or 3 weeks compared to where they were at the beginning of the year, which traditionally always happens at this point in the season.
Yeah, this is just a situation where I think it could be a decent contrarian play. More than 2/3 of the bets so far have come in on the Patriots. So again, it's just a situation where I think the public could be counting out the Texans a little too early. Let's move on to the next game. We've got your Steelers against the Jaguars. The Steelers are road 10-point favorites, but if you're not giving home field that much importance, I imagine you've got to be on the Steelers here against the Jags.
Nope.
No.
There is no way, shape, or form I am betting the Steelers giving double digits to a bad team a couple days before they're going to play Baltimore on Thanksgiving night. They are guilty of this. They did it after they played they played Baltimore the first time. They laid an egg in Dallas. You said fade James Conner. I said there's no way I'm going to be on the Steelers. This is the exact same situation. They're already looking ahead to Baltimore. They know if they beat Baltimore, they win the division, and everything's kind of locked up, and they're the 1 or 2 seed in the AFC. I understand that Jacksonville is terrible, and teams have been able to roll over them. But the Steelers can't run the ball. They really haven't run the ball effectively in at least 6 weeks, if I'm being kind. Their running is short passes. And while I think the defense will show up, the offense will start sluggish. It'll start slow, just like they did against Dallas. This is the Mike Tomlin special. There is no way I'd play Pittsburgh. My model has us at 14. It says I should bet Pittsburgh. Everything's lined up for it, and I understand that, and I cannot do it. As a Steeler fan, I've seen this too much. I hope they come out and roll, and they're up 21-0 at the end of the first quarter, and I don't have to sweat about it. But it's not my investment dollars will be placed on this or any contest pick.
Oh man, I'm surprised. This I thought you were gonna be on the Steelers here. So that has me.
That was last week.
Yeah, I have about 2 points of value here, so this is pretty solid for me. Suggesting bet the Steelers. And actually, wait, no, I have it the other way. I think I have it the right way. Okay, I was gonna say, did I read this backwards? I actually like the Jags, but no, I like the Steelers here. And looking at what they were doing in situations where they're big favorites, I was like, all right, yeah, this makes some sense, right? And with Jacksonville too, in games where they're facing even just average teams, they're getting crushed. They got crushed by double digits to the Chargers. Detroit beat them by double digits. Houston, a team you just said is awful, beat them by double digits. I thought for sure that you were going to be on the Steelers here. So this is enough to have me off of them. And so all right, I guess we're not taking the Steelers, which I think will definitely be a fairly popular pick here. And if you're convinced enough that this is a game to avoid, that's enough for me. We don't have to pick it. We can find a different game and one that'll be less popular. And if we miss it, we'll be even with the field if we get the other game right. So it's not like this one stands out a ton above the other games to me. So
I understand that. Yeah, I think I read, because this pops up every time, is giving more than a touchdown on the road. Tomlin is 3-17 against the spread or something crazy. Wow. Giving more than a touchdown. So it has to be 7.5 or more, obviously. But they just don't cover in these spots. And sluggish always, and then it just doesn't work out. And they end up winning these games, though. Don't get me wrong. So it's a spot where I'll wait and wait and wait. And at halftime, when the Steelers are down 4 or up 3, and then the halftime line's almost like a pick or -3, then that's when I'll go and jump on it. I'll bet them then. But no, I can't lay double digits here, even though I know they're significantly better. But I know they're looking ahead to Baltimore on Thursday.
Yeah, they haven't been more than they haven't been a touchdown to 10-point favorite at all this year, but they beat they were 1-0 against teams with losing records, and like they've got a few things like that where certainly in their favor. Most of the trends for them this year are going to look really good because they've just beat expectations, and that's what happens for a team that's better than everyone thought they were going to be. And for your betting and Joe's betting and probably Matt Blair's betting in the offseason, all these Steelers props and, all these futures, you guys knew that the market was not high enough on the Steelers, and there was a lot of value there. And that's just basically what we're seeing play out over the course of the season. Any victory laps you want to take so far on your futures bets that you made in the offseason on the Steelers?
I mean, I have over 9.5 wins at 9-0. I think that's going to come in. I feel pretty confident. I have a decent amount on them at 25-1 to win the Super Bowl, which, I'm fully expecting to have to hedge that against Kansas City in the AFC Championship game if I can not look too far ahead. But that's kind of my thought process at this point. And, there are only 2 losses against the spread are, I want to say Houston, they ended up not covering because it was against Denver. They ran out the clock and finished on their own 10 at the Denver 10 when they could have scored to do it. But instead they turned it over on downs and kind of ran out the clock. And then at Dallas giving 14. That's it. I mean, so like you said, when you're ahead on a team and you can make some money on them whenever you're well ahead of them, which I think we've been with Miami the past couple of weeks. So looking forward to that game soon.
Yeah, all right. So pass on the Steelers, even though I like them a little bit here. I'm taking your word for it and feel good about that. All right, let's go to the Colts and the Packers. Colts are at home. They're 1.5-point favorites here, which, I mean, I think a little bit surprising without looking at lines or anything like that. I would have thought that the Packers would have been maybe 1.5-point favorites instead, but I guess it's not that big of a deal, 1.5 points. It's still basically asking you which team do you think is better, and where do you stand on that?
So my model has this at 0. It feels like the line should be basically even. And just like you, I was kind of surprised. I thought Green Bay might open as a small favorite here. This just didn't seem right to me. I mean, this is the same Colts team that 2 weeks ago in Baltimore looked like they couldn't do anything at all. And then, of course, they look great. They had some special teams things work out for them on a primetime game, which everybody watched. So then the line is a little bit skewed. But, how can you not want to take Green Bay here? I mean, I really want to take Green Bay, but Green Bay feels like a very public side, which kind of scares me. So I really lean towards Green Bay. And it's almost something that I'm leaning towards being one of my 5 just because I feel like they're better. And they were sluggish last week against Jacksonville, and this is a situation where maybe they were looking ahead against a good team, and I think they're going to come out and play well.
They do seem like the public side. I mean, they are the side that is getting more of the bets so far. But yeah, I've got it that they should be favorites here too. 0.4 is so it's like not a big of a deal, but still, I think they're the better team. It just makes sense to me to take it. The only reason I would avoid it is because more people are going to take them than the Colts. So again, a leverage situation could potentially be to take the Colts here, but all things equal, I would be on the Packers. And what do you think about the 1.5-point lines when you see them? Do you ever tease those?
I have in situations. It really depends upon which side I'm going on. If I'm taking the dog and I'm going to take it over 7 to 7.5, I'm just sticking with 6 points. That makes a ton of sense. Going the other direction, then you kind of end up in a weird, no man's land gray area of +5, +5.5. Which,
yeah, I meant the other way to get the.
Yeah, I would say I'm not saying I've never done it, but it just doesn't feel as right. You're not getting the same value as you are crossing the number the other direction, and obviously crossing and getting above is significantly more important. Getting 7.5 is more important than getting +5 for, it's football reasons. So that makes sense. And, I've done it, and I will continue to do it in situations where, I think it makes a ton of sense to. Like if you told me that, you wanted to take. I'm looking at the list here of who else would kind of fit in that category range, and say you want to take Houston and get them at like almost 8 or something like that. Sure, that makes sense to me. New England hasn't really blown anyone out. I get why you'd want to do that, but
I think it sets up as I'm not a teaser guy even. Like, I think that they're, I don't want to say fish bets, but for the most part, like, not winning propositions. But you look at the slate and like the lines out there, you could do it with your Falcons at 4.5 to take that to 10.5. That's attractive, right? And you have 3 games here with lines of 1.5. You have the Patriots Texans, so you take the Texans and the Packers. Texans, Packers, and Falcons, and make those sort of combinations, and it becomes pretty interesting. Which leads us into our next game, the other game at 1.5 points, where it's Washington at home against the Bengals, and the Bengals are the team with the plus 1.5. Is that a team that you would be interested in a teaser taking a 7.5?
Nope, not in this spot. I don't like this game at all. This game is, you can tell me anything that's going to happen. Alex Smith's going to throw the ball 55 times again. Are we really doing that? And Cincinnati is bad. I want to know if they're as injured as they were last week going into Pittsburgh. I think it was like 2 hours before the Steeler game started, I read something that Cincinnati had 4 healthy cornerbacks. Not a good recipe when you're going to face a team with as many receivers as the Steelers. And here's a situation where I don't know if Washington could even take advantage of that just because of everything. My model has this at exactly 1.5. So it has the spread perfect. And really no lean any direction. And Cincinnati is just, they are so horrible. AJ Green, what does he have? 2 straight games with 0 catches. Just I was looking through box scores and things as I was getting ready for tonight. And man, that's a team that really needs to fast forward into the offseason and protect their quarterback at all costs. And the best group in this entire game is the Washington defensive line. And the worst thing Cincinnati has is their offensive line. So it kind of sets up nicely for Washington in that regard. So if I was playing it, it'd be Washington, but I'll be staying away.
I'm going to stay away as well. But this is a game that when we get to DFS could potentially shoot out and be pretty sneaky because, like you said, Alex Smith threw 55 times last week for almost 400 yards. So, I mean, I sent a troll tweet on Saturday saying that Alex Smith is about to have a game that makes the Chiefs regret trading him and sticking with Mahomes, right? But like part of it was because I was like, wait a minute, like Alex Smith could actually do something here. I didn't show up for like DFS and fantasy results because he didn't throw any touchdowns, but there's a decent chance that Alex Smith is actually going to have an explosion game, like an upside game, which sounds weird because you don't think of Alex Smith like that. Of course, the tweet was 100% like sarcasm and stuff, and there were a bunch of people that took it seriously. Like, are you kidding me? Mahomes is way better. Like, all right, thank you, guys. But
Twitter's
anyway,
the best, right? Isn't Twitter just amazing?
I just like I don't even know that to relate to that person that reads the tweet and goes, oh man, this guy's serious. I'm going to tell him that Mahomes is better. It's like, who is that person? Like, I don't know anyone like that. I don't think, but they show up on the internet. So weird. Any final thoughts on this? It sounds like we just don't have any interest.
Yeah. Unless DFS is involved, I don't even want this game near my TV or red zone.
Yeah. So we'll get there in the DFS rundown. I think that might have something for you there. All right. So let's go to the Ravens and the Titans then. The Ravens, so lose last week against the Patriots at 7.5 point or 7.5 point favorites, one of the two. And it was like that was what they needed to avoid to not have a chance to cross that 3.5 in our side bet that we've got for Thanksgiving. So I'm already tilting about the Ravens. I still do think they're a pretty good team, but if you look at different rating systems, they lost about a point after that loss in their overall rating. So what is going to affect the spread for them? So you got a point already. If they lose to the Titans here, you're probably going to win. I mean, almost definitely going to win our bet, but it'll be close if they end up winning here and looking good in the game. So what do you expect?
Well, and the best case for you is that they are such a large favorite over another good AFC team. And just giving almost a touchdown here against a team that's considered a playoff team kind of bodes well for where the line's going to fall Thursday night, and does not look as promising to me as I'd like it to. I feel like I almost need Tennessee to win this game or come relatively close in order to make the Steelers more than a 3-point favorite come Thanksgiving night. But my model has this as Baltimore minus 3.5, and really kind of shades towards Tennessee, but not a lot of confidence in it, which I thought was kind of surprising. Normally when I have that big of a difference, it kind of jacks up the confidence of where it feels it should land. And I don't really know what to do with this game. It feels like a good get-right spot for Baltimore. The Tennessee defense can't stop anything, but they really can't stop anything through the air, and Baltimore has not really been effective doing that collectively. So I don't know what to do here. And we just saw New England run the ball down the throat of the Ravens, and we know Tennessee wants to do that and use their play action. But this is definitely like that playoff revenge game from last year where Tennessee just went in there and absolutely destroyed them and made Baltimore look really dumb and made Lamar look ordinary. And all of that kind of makes you want to lean Tennessee, but I have too much respect for Baltimore and what they do. But what a tough spot for Baltimore. You play the Monday night game or Sunday night game in the monsoon, come back home, have a good Tennessee team, and then on a short week you're flying to Pittsburgh. They are scheduled and set up to lose one of the next two, whether it's this one or the next one, just because of that's asking a lot. And obviously I hope it's next week for Steeler reasons, but conceivably I could see it here. But I haven't played Lamar all year in DFS, and I think this might be a spot where I kind of am thinking about it, where I think everybody's kind of off of him, and Baltimore should probably put up some points.
Well, the thing is, everyone's been off of him all year, basically. There hasn't really been chalk Lamar Jackson weeks. So he's always a little bit tempting if you believe that he still has the upside. I mean, you see people talking about, man, it looks like he's lost a step, and all these sorts of opinions of what people are seeing and all that. And it's like, I mean, I'm not saying that he hasn't, but that's not what stands out to me when I'm watching the game. I'm not going, oh, man, Lamar Jackson looks slower this year. He still looks really fast to me. I know he was hurt for a few weeks, and during that stretch he may have looked a little slower. But, like, against New England, he was still quick and, like, twitch movement and everything. I don't know, still look very good to me. It looks like he still has the upside. This game is a really tough one to cap. I think the Titans are the side that I think the numbers and everything would kind of lead you to. I've got a 1-point edge there towards the Titans, but then you look at what they've been doing recently and you're like, wait, how can I take the Titans here after they lost by 17 to the Colts? They beat Chicago, which they covered by half a point. Congrats. But lost by 11 to Cincinnati. Of course, lost that game to Pittsburgh. It's just since the bye week, the COVID scare, all that kind of stuff, it hasn't been good, man. Aside from that first game back against Houston, right? Wasn't that the first game back?
Buffalo on that
Buffalo. And then
that Tuesday night or whatever, Monday night.
Yeah, so aside from that game against Buffalo where they surprised everyone, they've just kind of either done what they were supposed to do or way underperformed. So it's tough to back a team like that. So I'm probably going to stay away. Let's go to the next game. We've got the Vikings at home against the Cowboys. They are 7-point favorites with Andy Dalton expected to be the starter. That is the guy that I would want if I were a Cowboys fan to be the starter. These other guys that they're throwing in there, not very good. So what do you think here, man? With Andy Dalton, do the Cowboys have a chance of being anything close to what they were before?
So my ritual is Sunday evening or Monday evening, depending upon the lines are posted. I always look, and if there's anything I really like, I want to bet it ahead of time. And I thought that this line was just going to open a little bit higher than it did. And when I saw it at only 7.5, I thought that's kind of interesting because Dallas has been really bad. And then my immediate instinct was I really like the Cowboys in this game. I know that's counterintuitive to everything we've seen from them, but Minnesota played on Monday night. it's a short week, and Dallas is coming off of a bye. And while there is a chance Dalvin Cook could run for 785 yards and 11 touchdowns against the Cowboys defense, which I think is in play, I actually kind of lean the Cowboys here. My model has it at 7, so it's got a slight lean, but give me the Cowboys getting over a touchdown on the road. I know that seems really strange considering how bad they've been, but it just feels like a good spot to be on a bad team and hold your nose and hope for the best.
Right now, this is one of the more bet lines, the Cowboys side. So there's a chance it could be pretty popular. The Vegas line right now is at 7.5 too, I think. So that could play a little bit into it, getting the extra half point. But man, my numbers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my numbers and everything say to take Minnesota. If you tell me definitively that the Cowboys were going to be the popular pick, then yeah, I would take Minnesota and just like, let me be contrarian, let me trust the numbers, that sort of thing. I think there's value in that. But I'm kind of with you in just the line of thinking of, well, the Cowboys can't be this bad, can they? Like maybe everyone's just counting them out too early. Maybe Dak isn't as big of a deal as we're making him out to be, because I mean, with Dak, the Cowboys would be 7-point favorites in this game, almost. You feel like. So you're telling me Dak's worth 14 points? I mean, Patrick Mahomes is maybe worth 10. So Dak's worth 14. I mean, it doesn't all add up and make sense. So I would want to bet the Cowboys in that sense. So really torn, obviously. If I continue to get a strong read that the Cowboys are going to be the public side, which America's team, hey, that wouldn't be surprising, then the Vikings would be the play, and that is the play in the model. Any final thoughts here?
I just feel like professionals are the ones that are going to be on Dallas, and the public is going to be on Minnesota. They know Dallas is terrible, and a lot of these contests have been getting sharper, though. So that's kind of where I'm not really sure where that lies. But in terms of, I might wait to actually bet Dallas and hope maybe I can get 8 or maybe 8.5 if the public weighs in. But I think professionals will keep that from happening.
All right, let's move to the Chiefs and Raiders. Chiefs are road 7.5-point favorites, and pretty much any line I see from the Chiefs is like, oh man, that should be more than that. Like, at a glance, I always think that the Chiefs should be bigger favorites than they actually are. But where do you stand here? Of course, the Raiders defense, you were talking about that a little bit pre-show, could be in some trouble.
Yeah, they were contact traced to being next to someone with COVID. So none of them, they have to pass tests all week, and then they can come back in and they can participate and play. This is one of the games that I think I bet this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. whenever the line hit. I saw Kansas City minus 6.5, and I did what would be my standard bet just automatically on them. I can't love the Chiefs anymore in this game. This is such a public bet, though. I understand that completely. I know the line's only going to go north, but Andy Reid off a bye against the team that beat them, and now we're hearing that John Gruden and the Raiders buses took victory laps around Arrowhead Stadium, and Andy Reid wasn't happy. I mean, just dial up 45-7 right now. Like, this is incoming. This is going to be a smash spot. I wish it was on the main slate so I can play these guys in DFS, but I am all over the Chiefs, and I bet it at 6.5, and I bet it again at 7. And I wish I had bet more because now we've crossed over 7. So I'm just going to be staying where I am with it. And you mentioned a teaser. Give me the Chiefs down to -0.5 or -1, anything where they just have to win, because I am all over this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And hey, all right, so I've heard a lot of people say this sort of stuff, and I probably said it just not thinking myself too. But pro tip for people, if you like a game like this, like the Chiefs Raiders, and you wish it was on the main slate, play the Thursday through whatever slate, Sunday or Monday, and all of a sudden there you go. You've got your Chiefs in there, and they are going to be lower owned than they would have been if they were on the main slate because there are more games, and a lot of people load up on that Thursday game just to have exposure and have something to root for. And in reality, it's just like that much more expected value, that much more of an edge if you really believe that the Chiefs are a good play. And I'm saying that because I'm reminded myself, and now I'm thinking, wait a minute, like maybe I should do that. also and play some of these Thursday slates. I think that's a pretty good call. So the Chiefs would absolutely be a bet of mine. The model doesn't back it up necessarily. It's half a point in favor of the Raiders, but that's not factoring in any potential guys missing out on the Raiders defense. And the line is pulled right now on Vegas, so that is a concern. And they obviously feel like they would change the line if that were to happen. Like you said, we could end up seeing this line crawl to, close to 10. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to 9.5 or something. And then all of a sudden you're sitting on 2 points of value there. So it's not going to be contrarian, that's for sure. But I like the Chiefs as well. To move on to the next game, we've got the Dolphins and the Broncos. Dolphins are they're on the road, but 3.5-point favorites with the Broncos that might not have Drew Lock at quarterback. Man, what are they going to do?
I mean, you could just see the line adjusted so dramatically with Drew Lock's possible injury absence. We come right off Kansas City. This is the other game. And if you were looking at our Slack on Monday morning, I woke up and I saw Miami -2.5, and I get up in the 5s every day and just immediately bet it. And I was like, that seems wrong. I understand it's a public bet, but there's no way the line's going to stay there. I knew it was going to climb somewhere over 3. People keep sleeping on this Dolphins defense. It's good. Brian Flores knows what he's doing. He is able to trick and deceive quarterbacks, young, old, it doesn't matter. And the Dolphins defense is doing what they're supposed to do. And they're not asking Tua to do a whole ton, but he's doing more than enough to put up points and keep them in games and doing what he's asked to do. He's not turning it over. And they're able to possibly win that division, honestly. And like I said, this is the one where my model has the biggest difference at this point in the year. It says that Miami should be almost a 9-point favorite. So it has a 5.5-point difference, and it gives it a very, very high confidence level. So this was an auto bet for me before I saw the numbers, and it should be an auto bet for me after I run my model and see the numbers. And I understand it's public. Public can be right too, but I will be on the Dolphins here.
Yeah. I like the Dolphins as well. So what would you say the teams that are thought of as elite or very, very good, maybe the top 5 defenses are? Probably the Ravens, Rams, Steelers, Colts, Bucks. Is that what you would say?
Ravens, Rams, Steelers, Colts, Bucks.
Anyone else?
I think that's about it. I'm trying to think of teams that are on a bye that aren't listed here too. Maybe New Orleans. They don't really have that rep anymore of kind of being that solid. But yeah, I think we're kind of in that neighborhood. But I mean, Miami should be in that conversation.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think most people consider Miami in that conversation, but a good stat to look at to judge this sort of thing. Although this is just raw and not adjusted for opponent, but still, it'll show you how they've performed this year. Percentage of drives ending in a score. So this is taking out pace and forgetting that. It's just every drive that you're presented with, what do you do on that? It's the Ravens, it's the Rams, but it's the Dolphins as the third lowest, then the Steelers, then the Colts, then the Bucks. So it's like all the teams you would expect to lead in that category, and the Dolphins, which you and I believe should be there and might have expected to be there, but I don't think most people do. And part of it does have to do with schedule. The Dolphins have played like the Jets and stuff, but I think for the most part, this is real, and that Dolphins defense is good. And this is another offense that if you want to say, well, yeah, they're just playing a bunch of teams like the Jets and there's bad offense. Well, there's another bad offense. Whether Drew Lock is in there or not, I think he didn't practice today, right? That it seems very unlikely to me that Drew Lock's going to play. But either way, it's going to be a bad quarterback in there. And the Dolphins should, again, have a really good defense. Like you said, not have to ask Tua to do too much and kind of just win this game in a boring fashion. And I as well like the Dolphins here. All right, any final thoughts, or you want to move on to the next game?
I just want to say, like, we've been ahead of the Dolphins for a couple weeks now, and it's only a matter of time before they're giving a touchdown to these bad teams. So you just have to take advantage of the ability to have a great number because everything hasn't quite caught up yet, and it will. It's just a matter of time.
Yep. Let's move on to the Chargers and Jets. Chargers at home, 8.5-point favorites against the Jets, and their quarterback just got a haircut. So what do you think about the Chargers here?
So the first thing I want to say is my model has us at exactly 8.5. So no lean in any way, shape, or form. Having said that, God, I want to bet the Jets. I know that sounds so bad and it sounds so terrible, but I just can't believe in the Chargers to beat anybody. I've seen Anthony Lynn do some dumb things the past couple weeks, just don't make any sense. Just continually running the ball on first down, running the ball on second down, and then throwing on third down. It feels like the Chargers are kind of working their way towards firing everybody, bringing in a new regime as head coach and whatnot, because we know the quarterback is in place. But the defense is getting healthy. Last week, Bosa not playing, I thought was a massive deal, and allegedly supposed to be back, but we shall see. Like a lot of injuries, you never quite know until we get a little bit later on in the week, because this is earlier in the week. And it's just so many points. But you could tell me that the Jets might not score, and I could believe you. You could also tell me that the Jets could be up 7 in the fourth quarter, and the Chargers are going to rally and have to come back and win, just because that's what every Charger game is kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, I have the line 9.5, so I would like the Chargers here, but it is really tough for me to trust them to cover that many points with how bad they've looked at the end of games. That's just how could I possibly expect to win this? I mean, they would have to blow them out. It can't be even close in the fourth quarter, which that's certainly possible. But I think that I'm to the point of wanting to stay away from the Chargers. I think we've gotten a lot of the value out of the Chargers from the beginning of the season to the point where it's like, all right, now they're appropriately valued for the most part. A point of value, whatever. But it's not like the Chargers are some massively undervalued team like they were at the beginning of the season. And what's frustrating about it is you don't get the results if you took them with your futures and everything, or if you're a fan of the Chargers and just seeing like the wins not get there, because they should have. This is a very, very talented team, and potentially one that'll be undervalued in the futures next offseason. So something to keep an eye on. Again, the Chargers and Miami are two teams that I'm buying quite a bit on long term. Any final thoughts on this one?
Nope.
All right, so we've got one game left. We've got the Bucks and the Rams. Bucks at home. They're 4-point favorites. They're a team that has broken your model in the past, the Bucks. So what do they look like against the Rams here?
This is kind of a weird spot. Obviously, it was all over the Rams last week and love them against Seattle. And here you have my model breaking this down to, it feels like Tampa Bay should be a 2.5-point favorite. And I can't back the Rams here. I don't know why. It just feels like not the best possible spot. And I understand Tampa Bay had kind of an explosion game. They put up a bunch of points last week. I know you wrote up Tom Brady as a quarterback that you should be looking at in DFS. And for some reason, despite my love of the Rams last week, I have none of it this week. It feels like the exact opposite spot. It feels like a good Tampa Bay looks good in prime time and kind of gets that stink from a couple weeks back off of them, and they look good again. So I have a lean towards Tampa, but not enough that I want to bet it or anything.
Model has no lean at all. I mean, it's 3.9, so 4 points, which is the same as the SuperContest here. And I'm not going to touch it. I'm expecting a low-scoring game. I think I would, if I had to choose, I would lean the Rams, even though my model has 0.1 points of an edge there. But I'm going to stay away here. This to me is not a game that I feel like there's an edge at all. This is one that could go either way. But if anything, I would expect low scoring, although that's just like the chalk opinion, right? Two good defenses going up against each other. One that really likes to run with the Rams. I think that most people are going to expect it to be low scoring. So there's no edge in betting the under anything. All right. So now that that's all the games, let's give people a summary of our top few picks that we like. I'll start with you, Milo. Tell me what's your favorite team this week?
I mean, obviously my favorite team I think is Kansas City. I just don't see any way in which they're not just going to put up a ton of points. I just want to mention, I've been wrong on the Raiders a bunch recently, and it's someone that I think just is kind of slipping underneath the cracks of how well they've done. But I really love Kansas City in this spot. I love Miami. Those are the two that I'm going to be on for sure. And if I'm going to give you a third team, and I know this might seem crazy, I like the Dallas Cowboys getting over a touchdown against Minnesota. Those are the three that I'm going to kind of ride with, and that I'm looking at in contest at this point.
Wait, what was the second one?
Miami.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Miami, Kansas City, and then give me Dallas. And I'm going to kind of stick with those three, and then I'm going to have to come up with two more of some of my contests I'm in. But as of right now, those are the three I got. Now I'm going to find my way, and I'm going to – I'm sorry. I forgot to mention the Atlanta Falcons. Give me them. Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, I was just going to say –
I can't believe I forgot them.
I'm going to go against you on that one. I'm on the Saints this week, so one of us will win. Hey, one of us will look smart. But I'm with you on the Chiefs. I'll take the Chiefs with you. So that sounds good. As far as the third goes, there's nothing that stands out a ton to me that I feel like I have to go to. So I don't really know. I think that, betting against the Broncos is a little bit tempting with the Dolphins. And I guess if I had to make a third, that would be the one.
How could you possibly go against that offense and possibly Drew Lock, your favorite quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, if you told me Drew Lock was in, I'd be all about it, man.
I think the line would actually go higher.
Well, what did you say the line opened at?
It opened 2.5, and then they didn't even take it down when Lock was questionable. That's the best part. So, like, these other situations, if a quarterback's questionable, they yank the line down. Like the New Orleans game, the line kind of came down real quick, and it wasn't up until they had Breeze injury news. They just left it there. And even with Lock being in or out, they didn't care because they know it doesn't make a difference. They're just going to let the market dictate it at that point.
Yeah, I think you had asked me what I had for Lock's value, and I said 0.5 point at best. But I mean, you could argue, like I'm not going to be the one to say it, but if someone wanted to tell me that the value was negative 0.5 point, I'd be like, yeah, I see that. The rare upgrade if the starter gets ruled out, but it's just not going to make much of a difference.
I mean, that happened with the Chargers though, right? Starter got ruled out. A new guy comes in, not on purpose, but yeah.
No, I'm just saying not to where anyone changed their value, increased their value of the Chargers line. If it would have still been up, I imagine the live line would have dropped once Herbert.
Oh yeah, it would have definitely changed. Yeah. And I'm curious to see what happens with Jameis in New Orleans, because if he plays well, puts up a bunch of points, things are going well, the offense looks good, maybe those ribs take a little bit longer to heal. You never know how these things work, right?
If it wasn't Peyton and Drew Brees, I would say that you have a case there. But I think those guys go back far enough that Peyton will let him get in there as soon as he wants to get in there. He owes him that much, right?
That is basically the entire plot of Any Given Sunday, the movie, essentially. But
yeah, I think that Jameis couldn't have looked worse, basically, when he came in relief. And it was frustrating, too, because I needed – like one catch from Michael Thomas, and like there are certain contests where I just needed one of something for these guys, and Jameis could not do anything. So it was ugly. I was playing the flash drafts on DraftKings and stuff. But yeah, so I'm not going to be surprised at all if the Saints are get destroyed here and your Falcons bet ends up winning. I think that is very well within the range of outcomes for me that my bet could be a bad one. I just think that it's most likely that Jameis, that was just not being prepared for the game, and now he's got a week of preparation. He's going to look quite a bit better, and this offense is going to be pretty interesting if they're able to now chuck it deep. That you could argue that I think you make a strong case for them being a better team now with Jameis. I know it sounds crazy, and a lot of people are going to think that's insane, but we'll see. I think that there's that potential. Get out of here.
5 weeks ago on Monday Night Football in the first half, people were calling for them to bench Breeze anyway. So it's not like, it's not crazy. I don't think it's that wild of an assumption to say that he could play well and things could look better.
What are their odds on win the Super Bowl? Because
That is
that's something
a
that could be
great question. That you could, because you'd have to think they're going to drop because of they're going to lose a game or two because of not having him, right?
That's what I think the perception would be. Yeah. Okay. So they're 6-1. That's close to the same that they were before.
Yeah, I see 750 on the first place I look. So pretty much same area.
Yeah, if you can get close to 10-1 anywhere, like if anywhere's reacted to Drew Brees being out and they want to drop that, I think that that's something that could actually go up if New Orleans has a big game to where they're bigger favorites. If they have a big game against Falcons, which is crazy because the Falcons suck. But I'm telling you, if Winston looks good, this is it's going to be interesting. You're going to want some Saints. And think about the NFC too. What teams are you worried about over there?
No one.
Wide open. Yeah, it's the AFC. We're like, ooh, like, all right, the Chiefs. You got the Ravens. You got the Steelers, and that's pretty nasty. And that's not even like some of the wild cards that you'd be a little nervous about too. So yeah, I think that that's a bet that I'll be keeping an eye on with the Saints there. All right, man. Appreciate you doing this. We are looking forward to a good week here. If you want to check out our DFS stuff, go to numberball.com. I've got my rundown every week. We spend a lot of time in Slack. I get good feedback from the guys here. Milo with the nice assist on the John Brown call a couple weeks ago where he had about 100 yards and a bunch of catches out of nowhere at, 2% ownership. So appreciate that. I think that contributed to my 30 to 40K that week. So thanks for your help as always, Milo. We'll catch you guys next time. Until then, do awesome things.